Today is we're going to measure your metabolism. And the
Okay.
reason why we're going to do that is it helps us determine what your energy expenditure levels are. And granted that you have, hypothyroidism and you are on Synthroid, that does adjust this number a little bit. But since you're more regulated to be in a normal range with your thyroid, I would expect your metabolism to also be in a normal range. Now, it may not necessarily be in a normal range, and if it's not, I'll explain the reason why after we do the test. But let's kind of right now expect it to be in the normal range, and then we'll talk about reasons why it may not be. Okay? After that. But this really is an important element because it's going to help us determine what's the level of energy provision that we should provide you to help support your weight loss efforts. Okay? It helps us going to determine if you're going to be able to support, 1, 2, 3, 4 pound weight loss per week for that reason. Now, given we're already going to put you at a fixed amount of calories of roughly 900 to 1,000 calories a day, we kind of already know that you're going to lose weight at that, but this is going to help us tell us approximately how much weight you should be able to lose weight, or how much you should be able to lose over that period of time, given that, like I said, it's either going to be 1, 2, 3, or 4 pounds per week. Okay?
Okay.
Any questions before we get started? What we're doing with this is measuring the amount of calories that you expend. But in doing so, we can also determine how many, what's your relevant percentage of lean muscle tissue to fat weight as well. And the reason why is because the lean muscle weight and bone weight and organ and so forth represents approximately about 80% to 70% of what this metabolism test is going to tell us for energy expenditure. The remaining 20 to 30% is really dependent upon several factors. One, your age, hormone levels, overall body weight, and so forth will play into that as well as medications can affect it. So that's the reason why the largest contributing factor of your metabolism is the amount of lean muscle tissue that you have. It's directly correlated with it. Okay? So this test is going to take about 8 to 10 minutes.
Okay.
And during this test, it's a pulmonary function test, so we need to measure how much oxygen you're breathing. So it's not forced vital capacity, it's just relatively simple breathing. Okay? Now you're going to have this nice, lovely nose clip on. That way we measure all the air moving across the cells in the lungs. Okay? But we have to maintain you have a good tight seal with the lips on the mouthpiece.
Okay.
Okay? The device will shut off on its own. Once it shuts off, I can take that information and I can figure out exactly what does that mean from an energy expenditure component to you. Okay? During this test, you may experience some dryness of the mouth, and if you do, just touch your tongue to the roof, and that'll help moisten it. Anytime you feel like you got a cough, take it out, cough, and put it back in. Okay? There's no restrictive airflow, so just breathe as comfortably as you can. Okay? And the device will do its own work.
Okay.
Okay?
All right.
All right. Good?
Yeah.
All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to calibrate. It'll beep here in a second. All right. So go ahead and place this inside your mouth. Hold it with your hand. And what I want you to try to do is sit straight back. And if it helps to remove that the pillow, you can do that. So I want you kind of in a recumbent state. Okay? There you go. Just like such. And the reason why I want you that way is because when you sit upright, such as I am right now, with the abdominal mass that you have, it can push your diaphragm up into the chest cavity, and it impairs pulmonary function, right? So what I want to try to do is take that stress off the diaphragm so that way you can ventilate a little bit deeper, okay? And then just breathe as comfortable, and the device will shut off on its own, okay? What I'm going to do is I'm going to step out, and I'll come right back and check on you. Okay, just maintain a very good tight seal with that lip and just breathe as comfortably as you can. All right? So we measured your metabolism. Okay, so there's two parts to this. You burn an abundant amount of calories, so that's not going to be an issue for you to lose weight. I really think that you should be able to lose between 3 to 3.5, maybe 4 pounds per week, given where your metabolism is. Now, when we talk about your metabolism is actually lower than what was considered normal for you. And it's not your thyroid. And I think predominantly the reason why you have a little bit lower metabolism than compared to what would be a normal range is because of pulmonary function. You can't ventilate as a normal weight person would because the diaphragm being pushed up into the chest cavity while you're seated. right? So that's why I had you kind of in a recumbent state to help with that. But that in of itself, helps a little bit, but it doesn't resolve the whole issue. Okay? So when we look at where you're at, this is your metabolism here. This is what you burn all day, every day at rest. Okay? So you burn a pretty good amount of calories, but a normal range for you is really between about 2,300 and 31. That's a big range. And the reason why is because of the amount of your overall body weight. I mean, where you're at with your weight, it would support a higher metabolic rate. I mean, if you think of it, a person that weighs 300 pounds requires more energy to sustain 300 pounds than a person who weighs 200 pounds. Doesn't require as much energy. So even though your metabolism is below a normal range for you, you still burn an abundant amount of calories. Okay. And given that you're not seated all day, every day, I mean, you're doing things, you're up and about and so forth, you burn this. 2,670, about 2,670 calories a day is about what you expend without any form of purposeful activity. Okay, this is what your body just to support doing what you're doing. Okay, and then if you add in physical activity, right? When I put you in about 3 hours or 30 minutes a week, so that comes out to be right about 30 minutes a day every single day. Right? Now, granted, you're going to the gym 2 hours a week, right? But what you're doing, walking 15 laps in about 30 minutes, or actually about 45 minutes, right? It's about a 2 mile per hour pace, okay? So with your activity that you're doing at the gym and a little bit of the activity that you're going to do at home, you're going to burn about additional 100 calories a day. So what's important is that's not a significant amount to generate weight loss, okay? If you compare that to like the Biggest Loser, right, where they're doing high level of intense exercise 2 to 3 hours a day, those individuals are burning 1,500 to 2,000 calories a day just with physical activity, right? In comparison, we're only burning about 100, okay? But what's important is that's a little bit less than 5% of your overall energy expenditure. Right? That's not too bad, right? We try to get patients to be between 5 and 10% of their overall energy expenditure. So the most I would expect you to burn is about 250 calories, okay? Now, why is that important? Well, one, from a cardiovascular benefit, psychological benefit, just the overall health benefits of physical activity are tremendous, right? But for weight loss, it's not efficient, right? And what I mean by that is, if you make no dietary changes and you only exercise, right, the most you would lose is maybe a quarter pound per week, maybe a pound per month. And so therefore, when you're looking at it over the course of 3 or 4 weeks and you're doing these things, you're like, the scale's really not moving. It kind of moves up and down, maybe a pound or two, and it goes back up and goes back down. Well, you have normal fluctuations in just your weight, right, because of water retention, so a lot of environmental factors that would alter water retention. So then you really don't know if you're losing weight even though you're exercising. Right? So that's why people get frustrated, and that's why people don't lose weight significantly just with exercise alone. The best means is through caloric reduction, right? So we have to focus on keeping your calories controlled and promoting modest to light physical activity for cardiovascular and overall health benefits, okay? So where I would like to put you is about what we talked about last week, between 900 to 1,000 calories per day. So what does that mean from a weight perspective? Well, for most women, it's between 400 and 500 calorie deficit per day supports 1 pound per week, right? So I'm trying to get you at about a 1,500 to 2,000 calorie. 2,000 calories is pretty substantial, pretty tough to do, but I do believe we can get you to 3 to 3.5 pounds per week. Okay, so with that being said, with where we're at going to put you calorically, like we talked about last week, we should be able to support a 3 to 3.5 pound per week weight loss initially, right? Now, what's important is as you lose weight, this number right here does go down. Okay, it's just inevitable that it's going to go down, right? Even with you doing lean muscle, building lean muscle tissue with weight loss, it's still going to go down, because your overall mass, the overall weight that you're losing goes down, right? So this number is never going to be higher than what it is now.
Yay!
Okay?
Gotta bring it way down.
It's going to come down. And what that means to you is calorically, you'll never be able to go back to eating the amount of calories, such as, say, 2,500 calories a day or 3,000 calories. You're not going to be able to do that. Okay? Because
I've been doing that now.
Yeah, just because this number goes down, and if this number goes down, this number goes down.
Okay.
Right? So the overall expenditure number goes down, and it becomes harder, and that's why people hit weight loss plateaus. Okay? All right. So with that being said, the reason why you're not losing weight is not because of metabolic issue. It's not because of a physical or not physical activity. It's not because of a thyroid issue, right? The only likely reason why you're struggling with weight loss is because of insulin resistance, which we talked about last week with being pre-diabetic and having metabolic syndrome, right? Is it can impede your ability to lose weight because you have higher glucose values, which means your insulin levels are higher, right? Which means open the window and store fat, not burn fat, right? Because insulin levels want to keep your glucose levels low, right? But if they're elevated all the time, it's saying I've got to figure out a way to keep my glucose levels low, so store that glucose, that sugar, as triglycerides and or fatty acids, right? So that's what tends to happen, and it doesn't promote weight loss. So there's two things that we do. One, we put you on a little bit what we call lower glycemic. You've probably heard of that, right? So, but it's not overly crazy where we try to keep your carbohydrates to nothing. We try to keep your carbohydrates low enough to keep your glucose levels low and therefore your insulin levels low. Okay, and hence the medical food we're going to put you on is kind of designed for that purpose. All right, so we're going to try that. So if, in addition, why it may be challenging is because of the amount of inflammation that you have, right? Which, looking at your peripheral edema and so forth like that, you do have what we call systemic inflammation. That in of itself can make it hard to lose weight. So it's a lot of water retention, right, that you have because with inflammation, it's swelling, right? So naturally, it may be a little bit more challenging to lose weight, but it's not impossible. It's kind of like what I tell patients: you've got to get through the minefield and the barbed wire, then therefore get on the down slope for your body to be able to lose weight. So you have to kind of get through a rough phase for your body to acclimate and adjust. Then the weight loss makes it a little bit easier. But initially, it may be a little bit challenging, but we won't know that for about 2 to 3 weeks. So we don't know how much you're holding, and we don't know how much these things are affecting your ability to lose weight. I've seen patients be able to lose weight easily with those values, and I've seen patients be able to not lose weight easily with those values. So again, we don't know for a few weeks, but hence the method that we choose, it's a very effective method. I'm confident with that method. We just have to be a little bit patient and work the process to get you to where we need to be.
Okay.
Okay? Does that make sense?
Yes.
All right. All right, so the other aspect of where you're at with your, and we talked a little bit about this last week, is kind of where you're at with your BMI and where you're at with your, your BMI is here, and then your body fat is here, okay? Which means that this is how much adipose tissue that you have on your body.
Okay.
Okay? Now, we need to cut this down by about 100 pounds.
Yeah.
That's about where you're likely to look at, right? But as you lose weight, you're going to lose a little bit of bone mass, you're going to lose a little bit of lean muscle mass, and so forth. And we try to keep that ratio, say, 80 to 20. So if we're going to lose, we talked about this, right? If this needs to be 100, right? Well, an additional 20% is probably going to be bone, muscle, and so forth. That's just going to be the natural progression for what we're looking at. So we're looking at about 120 pounds, right? Now, to be able to get you where you need to be, it's probably, the system says, well, it'll be mid-September to get you to go weight at the rate that we're going to put you. But that's not looking for metabolic adaptation to occur, and we know that does happen. So it may be realistically 12 to 15 months to be able to get you to where we think that you need to be for where you want to be.
Proper weight?
Well, I think we need to look at this in phases, right? Phase 1 is we need to get you under 40.
Okay.
That's phase 1 right here.
Okay.
Okay. And the reason why is because that would move you in class category of obesity from class 3 to class 2. Okay. So we need to get you into class 2, right? Okay. Second thing too is, I want you to, so I take these in phases. So the phase 1 is get you out of class 3, get you into class 2. What does that look like? That's probably about 70, 80 pounds. So
Okay.
then we can keep adjusting goals as we keep adjusting goals.
Yeah.
Okay? But let's focus on getting you below 40, and your first goal is to get you out of the threes,
Okay.
right? Get you completely out of the threes, say goodbye to threes, and never go back, right? So then as we get you into the twos, then we start chipping away and say the next milestone is we want to be at, I'm just using arbitrary numbers, say 275. Let's get you below 275, right? So, because right now if we say 120 pounds, right, that's pretty a daunting, vision of what that looks like. Right?
Yeah.
So that's why I like breaking it up and say, all right, the first goal is get you under 3, because that's something that you can see in the near future. Right? That's something that we can work towards. And then that helps build your confidence and keep the momentum moving.
Yeah.
Okay?
Okay. When you were saying stage 2 and stage 3, what's that mean?
That's class stages of obesity. Right? Anything greater than 30 on a BMI is considered obese. Class 1, or stage 1, is what we call mild obesity, and that's basically 30 to 34.9, right? Class 2, stage 2 is 35 to 39.9. Anything greater than 40 is considered class 3, or stage 3.
Okay.
Right, so it's severe. Well, it's beyond severe, because stage 2 is considered severe. So it's what we would call morbid, and that's the reason why I want to get you out of class 3, right? Get you into class 2.
Okay.
Right? The good thing about that, though, is some of these risk components, right? So your hemoglobin A1C, your glucose values, if we can get you just to lose 10%, we're probably going to see some minor changes or some, in those values in the next 2 to 3 months.
Okay.
Right? And that's a positive thing. So as you start to lose, those other blood parameters start to improve as well. But we have to look at long term as well and say to completely resolve your risk of being, diabetic, becoming full diabetic, right? We have to get you down in a significant weight, maintain it, and that fully resolves it. Okay?
Makes sense.
All right. So flavors of those nutritional shakes that I was talking about. What flavor do you prefer?
I like to mix and match.
Okay. So do you want? Since I only have the 3 flavors. So which 2 flavors do you want to choose of those 3?
Raspberry.
Okay.
And chocolate.
All right. So raspberry and chocolate, and then you want to do? We can just do chocolate bars. Is what I have.
Okay.
Okay. And I'll go get this for you real fast.
Okay.
Okay.